Hi everyone, good afternoon and welcome to the Sourcing Adda webinar. Today we are going to have a webinar on employer branding from a recruitment perspective, and it will be presented by Mukta Patil, a social media talent acquisition at Zensa Technologies, Pune. Before starting the webinar, I would like to introduce Sourcing Adda for those who are new to the webinar. Sourcing Adda is a community for recruiters and sources to come together and discuss new techniques and trends in the recruitment industry. At Sourcing Adda, we conduct various activities which includes tweet chats, meetups, webinars, and sourcing contests. After the success of SPL 1, now we have organized SPL 2, and the registrations for the same are going on until the 3rd of Jan 2016, and you guys can have more details about the SPL on our website. After that, we will be having the most awaited annual event, that is TASCON 16, that will be held on the 14th of April 2016. Now, moving on to today's webinar, which is presented by Mukta on employer branding from a recruitment perspective. We shall start with it. You guys, if you have any question, you can just, we will have a question and answer session at the end of the webinar, so you guys can, ask us questions. Mukta, can you please give a brief introduction to our members about yourself, and then you can start up with the webinar.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that. Firstly, I would really like to thank the Sourcing Adda team for having me here, and thank you so much for tuning in. So I work with Zensa Technologies as a social media talent acquisition professional, and I'm also responsible a little bit for the employer branding. And a little background about me, well, I've studied human resource management, and I'm so happy to have landed within the recruitment field. And especially within recruitment, I'm happy to be involved in social media and into the employer branding space as well. So although I'm new to the IT industry and new also to social recruiting, so forums like Sourcing Adda definitely have helped me in gaining the expertise that I have now, whatever little expertise. So about my education, I've completed my master's from King's College London, and I've also done my graduation from Canterbury Christchurch University in the UK. And I bring a total of 2 years of experience in recruitment and industries such as healthcare, charity, and manufacturing, and now IT. So I would like to talk a little bit about what this webinar is going to contain. Firstly, I will be talking about what is employer branding, then the different types of employer branding, what are its objectives, and then, of course, employer branding from an organizational level and then at an individual level. And I will be talking about scope of employer branding, why is it important for us to know about this, and what are the key challenges. I will also be giving in some examples of companies and how their branding initiatives are well designed. So what is employer branding? So if you have a read through to these two definitions, you can clearly see that it talks about image, it talks about perception. These are two intangible things. However, through employer branding, every organization is trying to achieve tangible results. So historically, companies have been focusing on the external brand of an organization, that is, getting results such as purchase, repurchase, and recommendations. But due to the changing needs of consumers, and companies now have to integrate the external objectives of branding and the internal ones as well. So expertise will work for your organization if you are viewed to be an employer of choice. And they, in return, will provide services and products that will enhance your external company brand. This is where there is a link between an organization's marketing objectives and employer branding objectives. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the current trends of employer branding. So this was a survey done by LinkedIn. It's called the LinkedIn Global Recruiting Trends Report of 2016, where roughly around 3,800 plus talent acquisition leaders from across the globe were surveyed. So this survey tells us that 68% organizations believe that company website is the most effective and powerful tool for employer branding. And this can be because, for a candidate, a company's website is the most authentic source of information. And 61% say that online social networking sites such as LinkedIn, Viadio are effective. And only 47% feel that social media channels such as Facebook, Twitter, etc. are most effective. So like I said, a company website would be where you receive the most authentic source of information, whereas other websites would be for networking, communication, and promotion activities. So other websites create an awareness, but your company website is still the most important tool. So I'd like to talk about what are the objectives that an organization wishes to achieve from employer branding. So these are a few that, through reading and also, you can see, these are a few that I have collated. So just like any business strategy, employer branding too has objectives. And once you have an objective in mind, you can clearly, have an approach designed well for it. So for example, if employee retention and engagement is your main objective, you would want to focus your employer branding efforts to internal employees. Whereas if attracting local and or global talent is your objective, your strategy will be more focused on how to create an interest in the industry for applications. So depending on your organization's hiring needs, there might also be a need to attract and retain fresh quality graduates. So your employer branding initiatives in that case will be based around creating a graduates talent pipeline by selling them your company's employee value proposition early on. So I'll have a little brief about what are the different types of employer branding. So I've categorized them into three main categories. One is internally targeted, that is for existing employees. So activities in an internally focused employer brand will involve around learning and development programs, effective HR policies, events, mentoring, etc. Externally targeted employer branding is aimed for potential candidates. So for externally targeted branding activities, you could be promoting current opportunities, telling success stories of your existing employees, networking and communicating with the external candidate. Incident-based is employer branding done with an aim to rebuild lost trust due to a negative incident. So for example, an incident takes place in a manufacturing factory where an employee was hurt. It hampers the brand as a whole for not having employee safety checks in place. The company then has to create a strategy and also not only take measures of reassuring external and internal audience on their improvements. So first they have to make sure that they have implemented the basic safety checks, and then they have to tell their external audience as well as internal audience that these are the measures we have taken to avoid this in the future. And it can also be that some organizations are labeled through communities like Glassdoor, etc., as a low-paying or lack of career growth sort of an organization. And that is where the company again has to not only reconsider its HR policies if required, but also to advertise and promote that change in HR policies aggressively to the market. So employer branding at an organizational level. So these, I believe, are the four main questions that you need to ask as an organization in order to design a nice employer branding strategy. So the first question to address is, who do we want? Who's our audience? Who do we want to target? This will help you narrow down your efforts and will give a clear picture on what kind of targeting initiatives you need to focus on. The second question in context is, where do you find your target audience? On which social media platforms are they available? Where is their information readily available? Where is it that they network? And this will depend from skill to skill and industry to industry. Your organization may even have to think of offline methods of reaching your audience. And that brings us to the next question of, what content does your audience respond to? Once we've identified who and where our audience is, we need to understand what attracts them, what will interest them, and what will encourage them to respond and or apply. And lastly, how is your branding strategy going to be designed in a way that addresses these questions above? So in terms of answering the first question, you can think about these four broad categories. Experience based. What are the experiences that you're looking for? What are the geographies that you want to target? Do you have any demographic requirements? Are you looking for a certain, are you looking for people from a certain age group? Are you looking for people who of a specific gender? And then obviously skill based. Are you looking for IT skills? Are you looking for niche, manufacturing skills, etc.? So here I would like to move on to the next question. That is, where can you find them? And I'd like to give examples of these two amazing websites that I came across. So first is the EY India Careers page on Facebook. And so EY uses its Facebook Careers page to target fresh graduates extensively. They show updates about their recent campus activities. They have interview tips for freshers. They talk about the kind of opportunities for graduates in different fields. And they constantly have images as their updates. And the second example here is of Behance.com. So this is a website where, as a candidate, you can create your own profile and upload your project. And as an employer, you can also you can post jobs, you can review the uploaded projects. So it's a great place if you want to connect with graphic designers, animators, etc. And also, showing your organization's presence on websites like these will not only give you that competitive edge, but you will also create awareness within the industry. So what does your target audience respond to? So taking the example of L'Oreal here, I would like to show some of the different initiatives for employer branding and recruitment that they have. So while L'Oreal has its official LinkedIn careers page, it has an official Facebook careers page, and it is segmented geographically. There is some common platforms that they use globally. So there is a dedicated website managed by L'Oreal, which shows, selfies taken by recruiters with the candidates that they've recruited. This campaign is great in a lot of ways. One, it shows the various professionals and the various skills that L'Oreal hires. Second, it shows a culture of inclusiveness and openness. Thirdly, the little LinkedIn icon that you see out there, if you click it, it redirects you to the recruiter's LinkedIn profile. That encourages networking. It's also a great way to show what geographies, the L'Oreal offices are present in. From these three examples, you can see that the first picture is from Central America, the next one is Russia, the third one is Turkey. And also it can show diversity within the workplace. So this campaign will not only encourage networking, and if not, encourage a job application immediately, it will definitely bring some interest to the audience. And it's a great way to engage your audience. I was on this website for a whole 20 minutes, and the pictures are amazing. You guys must go through it. So how to target your audience? Again, here I'd like to show two careers pages that I found on Facebook. One is the Oracle's Facebook page, that is Careers at Oracle, and it focuses more on telling stories about their employees. So stories, they do have journeys that they show of their senior associates, but they also have some, facts about their existing employees. They talk about, employees from all over their world. What is their role, and how Oracle helps them to grow in their career. Job postings is another simple and quite straightforward way to attract talent. So, however, job postings, they must stick to the context of the skills that you're hiring for. So the Musk Facebook page, it's actually a company page. They do not have a separate Facebook careers page, but you can see that they do some job postings out there. And this particular job posting is in line with what the organization is trying to recruit, and it's in line with what the organization is and the skills they require for this particular role. So I'd like to run you guys through a quick case study. I found this on this amazing blog called linkhumans.com. So, it talks about Microsoft and how they addressed their recruitment demands through employer branding initiatives. So the problem area for Microsoft was that their old Microsoft Careers website was not mobile friendly. It was difficult to navigate. Information was not readily accessible. And they realized that it discouraged applications. And also, there was a major overhaul of workforce within the company. New requirements were raised, and people with new skills were to be recruited. So the possible solutions that they came up with would be the solution they identified. One was very obvious, was to have a new, fresh, brand new Microsoft Careers website, which was easy to navigate, easy access to information, and supported on mobile. Then they promoted this website to create a presence and also recover from the old stigma of its complicated website. And then they had to have a strong online presence, to showcase their current requirements. So moving on to how they establish their employer brand to social media channels, their Twitter page redirects audience to their careers blog or careers website. Their message on Twitter are themed around what it's like to work in here. So what it's like to work with Microsoft. Their Facebook page talks more about the hiring process, current opportunities, and some frequently asked questions regarding selection processes. LinkedIn Microsoft page is more formal with job postings, company updates, benefits, etc. So this way we can see how Microsoft has answered the questions of who, what, and where, and how through their employee branding initiatives with a goal of recruitment in mind. So moving on to recruitment at an individual level. When I say individual, I'm talking about recruiters and HR professionals like you and me. The organization that we work with already has an employer branding strategy in place, and it is under implementation. So how can we further enhance our company's employer brand? So as a recruiter, since we are constantly connecting with external audience and trying to probe them to show an interest in our current job opportunities, therefore, our employer branding strategy obviously has to be externally targeted. So sharing relevant content. The one way in which you can share relevant content to your audience is by registering yourself on websites that provide curated content for you. So great examples of these is credible.com and feedly.com. These websites will search for relevant content based on the keywords that you input in. So it will not only help you in creating that relevant content, but also it will increase your understanding of the given topic. And sharing the right jobs to the right networks. It would be quite ineffective if you post jobs for experienced professionals in a network or group of students. Targeting your audience for the content you share and the platform on which you share is also very important. So it will not only show your employer's presence to the right audience, but it will also encourage applications, or it might gain some connections, and it might also gain some good interest. This exercise is effective if you are planning to build a strong network of professionals that can convert into a talent pipeline. And as harsh as it may sound, do not accept every LinkedIn request that you get. This is especially important if you're aiming quality hires through social media. While having a large network is good, it's good for visibility for your shared content, it's good if you're posting jobs as well, definitely agreed, but it may lack relevancy. And you may also be viewed as a spammer by some quality professionals who are trying to connect with you. Yeah, and as a recruiter, if you have certain skills and expertise that you recruit for, make sure you connect with those professionals extensively. And do not restrict yourself to just one industry or one expertise. Reach out to other professionals, maybe in different geographies. This will give you that diverse network, and also it will increase your company's awareness in other industries and geographical areas too. And of course, networking is still about researching, targeting, and planning. And like I said, you have to be strategic as a recruiter when you're growing your network, especially on social networking sites. Communicate. It is important to have good communication between you and your potential client and your potential candidate. So it could be personal, that is, if you're already in conversation with the candidate regarding an opportunity, or it could be something generic. And having this communication definitely does affect the candidate's views towards you and also your organization. So many times I have replied to somebody on LinkedIn and they have actually appreciated, oh, thank you so much for reading my message and responding. So it does, it creates that positive image about you and where you work at. And simple exercises, like I said, just as thanking them after they've attended the interview, giving them feedback, certain follow-ups, and also if they communicate, if they connect with you for a particular opportunity, redirecting them to or guiding them to the right opportunities. This all will create an excellent rapport, which is absolutely necessary for us recruiters. Promote. Share company updates, encourage followership to the company pages. So, I'm sure like most big, large organizations, they have an official LinkedIn page, company page, so, which they constantly have some content that is being published. So you can share that content to your connections. This will give it that visibility, and this will also, it will show that you're engaging with your own organization. And then include company information and job descriptions. So generally, job description, we talk about exactly the skills and experiences that we want. But if you write a little bit about what domain is this person going to work in, what what is his what is his location in the company going to be like, what is the hierarchy like, not giving away too much, but just giving away enough. And also, again, for more information on this particular department, please visit our .com website, whichever company that you work for. However, do not overdo it. Not everyone you connect with on LinkedIn or social media is looking for a job. I have experienced this where I would over promote my opportunities, and actually some very good candidates just disconnected from me. They stopped following me on Twitter, they stopped following me on LinkedIn as well. I learned it the hard way, but definitely this was one advice that I could give. And then what is the importance for recruiters? Why should we be so concerned about employer branding? So there was a LinkedIn India hiring trends report, which said that there is a rise in hiring passive candidates. So there's a 69% rise of hiring passive candidates compared to the year 2014. There is an increase in the usage of social professional networking websites like, again, LinkedIn, for quality and quantity hires now. Because these websites are so mobile friendly, and because Generation Y and Generation Z are constantly on their mobile, yes, these are great ways to network with them. Proactive recruitment is on the rise as there is competition. Then creating that presence, as well as, you become the point of contact for active job seekers if you do show your presence on social media. And then definitely it obviously helps in creating talent pipelines. So what is the scope of employer branding? So again, the LinkedIn Global Recruiting Trends Report of 2016 reveals that 59% of talent leaders are investing more in their employer brand compared to last year. With easy access to information and reviews about your company, having a digital footprint that increases a strong employer brand and is now become a necessity. Then the changing expectations of Generation Y and Z from the companies that they will work for. It's become important. More than ever, it has become important to sell your organization's EVP to these Gen Ys and Gen Zs. Gen Zs are actually the freshers that we are recruiting now. So the employee value proposition needs to be told to them beforehand. It is creating that interest before they even come, or before you go to their campus for interviews, or before they approach you. They not only look for better pay now, they're looking for career growth opportunities. They want to know what are the kind of CSR initiatives that your organization has, what are the kind of work-life balance policies, etc. And definitely, employer branding, because of its nature, it reaches a large audience and it can continuously attract potential candidates. This in turn increases your organization's talent pool. And if your current employees are encouraged to participate in these branding initiatives, it will give them a feeling of, that yes, I am involved, I am engaged, which will further enhance employee references. So, involving your current employees into recruitment activities, for example. So, if you have one great performer that you recruited a few years ago through a campus recruitment drive, we can invite him for our next campus recruitment talk, where you can encourage him or her to talk about what's it like working out here, etc. Again, that is about selling your employer value proposition to the fresh talent. The challenges, time consuming. Yes, employer branding cannot be just initiated with immediate returns. It takes time to build, to have that snowball effect. It takes time for that traction. So it is time consuming, and it does require a lot of patience and consistency. It is difficult to calculate return on investment, since it cannot be just measured in terms of applications. From a recruitment perspective, yes, that is how we can calculate a return on investment. But if you're talking about internal employer branding, if you're talking about an incident-based employer branding, it might get difficult to calculate this return on investment. And there are high costs for targeted campaigns for Facebook, for Twitter, for Facebook ads, Twitter ads, the subscriptions for websites like Behance or GitHub, etc. Yes, those are costs to companies, and they're quite high. And the importance of word of mouth publicity is always higher. So you, on all your social media channels or even offline channels, you can promote your organization, but there is still importance to word of mouth. There is still, because there is that trust. And it is difficult and time consuming to recover from a bad employer branding. So a bad employer brand may not necessarily be because of your organizations or your initiatives. It could be with, over it depends. I mean, it can also, a bad employer brand can also be caused due to some HR policies, or due to, again, like I said, an incident that has taken place. So it is difficult to change perception. And my parting thoughts, employer branding can never be a short-term project. It is not something that, let's have this initiative, let's run this for 6 months, and we'll get a wonderful talent pipeline. No, it has to be an ongoing process. It is continuous investment. It has to be consistent. It has to be dynamic, and it has to be changing according to the needs, hiring needs as well as potential candidate needs. It has to be supported by the top management, and it has to be supported by all departments. So there was a lot of debate happening that who owns an employer brand? So who owns this initiative? And there is no one department that owns it. If anything, this is something that is co-owned by a lot of departments. Definitely recruitment is involved, human resources is involved, marketing, digital marketing, PR, finance, all of these departments are equally involved when it comes to owning that employer brand. And as an individual, it is up to you on how you want to network and communicate in a manner that will create candidate engagement. So it is, while I gave some ways in which you can network or you can communicate, it is still up to you on how you want to. So what your individual strategy will be in terms of posting content on LinkedIn, in terms of the kind of people you will network with on Twitter, or the kind of people that you will network with on Facebook. And as Stephen Covey has said, begin with the end in mind. Do not just go out there and start posting jobs immediately expecting a response. And this, I'm talking about social media, or I'm talking about creating that employer brand. It has to be strategic. It has to be step by step. These are the references that I have used. Thank you so much for listening to me. You can follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is muktapatu4. And thank you once again, Sourcing Adda, for having me here. And thank you, audience, for listening.
Hi Mukta, that was really an informative webinar. Thank you so much for sharing your information with us.
Thank you.